Okay, so now we've got the user interface all set up for our piano. We want to make our piano actually play some sounds. Now, just like with the Jungle Sounds app, we have to point LiveCode to the default folder, so point it to the folder where it can find our sounds. And again, we're going to do that by responding to the pre-open stack message. So when the stack gets opened up, the default folder gets set, and then the app can always find the sound files. So as before, we'll go to the object menu, and this time we want to add to the stack script, because this is a stack message. So it's on pre-open stack. Set the item delimiter. To the slash character. And then set the default folder to item 1 to -2 of the file name of me. And then apply our script. So again, we're setting the item delimiter so that we look in between the slashes, and we're setting the default folder, which is the folder the app should look in for files, to item 1 to -2 of the file name of me. And remember, the file name of me is users Eleanor desktop piano sideboard piano.livecode. So item 1 to -2 is the first to the second last item, so it's all the way up to the piano soundboard folder. And that means that the app will always look in that folder to find any files that it's looking for. And as before, we want to go into edit mode, and we want to make sure that we actually send this message. We don't want to have to close LiveCode and open it all up again. So go into edit mode, right click or control click on your stack, go to stack and card, send stack message, and choose pre-open stack. That'll cause this message to be sent, and the default folder will be set. Now again, as with the Jungle soundboard, we need a player object to actually play our sound files. So make sure you're in edit mode, go to the tools palette and drag out a player object. Then we're going to go to the object menu, and we're going to open up the object inspector. And this time we're going to set the name of it to note, because we're just going to be playing a note, and we turn off visible because we don't want the user to be able to see the player object. So now we're ready to add some code to our buttons, but this time we've got 13 buttons, and they're all going to have pretty much the same code. So we don't actually want to have to type that code in 13 times. In our Jungle soundboard, we only had 3 buttons, that wasn't too bad. This time we've got 13. And what we can do is we can actually group all these controls together into what's called a group, which means you can take multiple controls, you can group them together, and then you can add code to that group. And it means we only have to add the code to the group once. And so if we make any mistakes or we want to make any changes, we only have to make those changes in one place. So if we want to group our controls, we need to multi-select them. So we click on our first button, and there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can use Shift and click and keep clicking until you've got all your controls selected, or you can use the edit menu and do select all, and that'll select all your controls. Now to create a group, we select all the controls that we want in the group, and then we just click the group button up here in the menu bar. And now if I go to the object inspector, you can see that I'm looking at this group. Now what I want to do is I want to give my group a name, and I'm just going to call it keys. So that's my keys group. And what we want to do here is what will happen is when the user clicks on a button, instead of the button getting the mouse up message, it'll go to the group because now it's a part of the group. So we can go to the object menu and open up the object script, and you'll see here that now we're looking at group keys. And instead of handling the message on the button, we're going to handle it on the group, and that lets us just do it in one place. Now in our Jungle soundboard app, we used the mouse up message, but in this case what we want to do is we're going to use mouse down instead, and that's because when you're playing a piano, the note gets played when you actually press down on the key, not when you press up. So we're going to handle mouse down instead of mouse up. So there's a couple of things we need to do in here. Firstly, we need to work out which of our buttons was actually pressed. Then we need to set the file name of the player so that it plays the right sound file. And then we want to start our player. So the only thing that's really different about being in a group here is that we need to work out which of our keys was actually pressed. And we can do this using something called the target. So if we put the short name of the target into T target, then what that'll do is when we click on one of the keys, so this is our C key down here, if we click on C, the group gets the mouse down message, and then if we put the short name of the target was C, so the target is always the actual control that was clicked on, so whichever one of our buttons it was, and we can use this target to find out which one it was. And what we're doing here is we're putting the short name of the target into ttarget, and ttarget is a variable. So what is a variable? So sometimes you want to store a piece of information that you'll need later, and we do this using a variable. A variable is a place that you can store data. The data can be anything. It can be a number or a piece of text. And if you think of a variable as a sort of container, a box or a jar, then you put your data into the container, you put a label on it so you know what is in your container, and then you can take it out whenever you need it. So for example, your name is a piece of data that you could store in a name tag variable, and anytime you want to find out the name of the user, then you look in that name tag variable and you get out their name. So in this case, we're using a variable called ttarget, and that will end up with the name of the key in it. So if you remember, our buttons were called C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, etc. So when you put the short name of the target into ttarget, then what you're doing is you're putting the name of the control that was actually clicked. So if we clicked on this one, it would put C sharp into this ttarget variable, and then whenever we need to use that, we can look in that ttarget variable, we can get it out, and we can use it when we need it. So all we're doing here is we're storing the key that was clicked on. We then set the file name of player, and our player is called note, and we set it to, this time I'm going to use some brackets, so it'll be in resources /sounds / and then we put an ampersand. Now an ampersand lets us glue bits of text together, so we use an ampersand, then we put ttarget, so that'll be C, C sharp, D, D sharp, then an ampersand to glue another bit of text together, and we put .mp3 on the end. And we set the file name of player note to, so this will set the file name of player note to resources /sounds /c#.mp3. So that is actually looking at the target, so finding out which key was clicked on. It's constructing the path to the file, so this will work whatever key we click on, because we'll always know which one was clicked. And it's setting the file name of player note to the correct MP3 file, and then as before we just start player note, and then apply our script. Now let's test it out and see if it's working. So we switch to run mode, and let's try playing some notes with our piano. So there you go, you've got a piano with all your notes playing, and we've only had to add this code to one place, just to our group, rather than having to go and type it into each of our keys individually. So congratulations on finishing your piano soundboard app. If you still have time, then there's some more extensions you can do. If not, now's a good time to go and get your certificate for the Hour of Code. Now, if you have got a bit more time, what we're going to look at next is how you can share your piano with other people. At the moment you can use it because you have LiveCode installed, but you probably want to be able to share it with people who don't have LiveCode. And we do that by building your app into an app that they can use without LiveCode. So if you're going to carry on and you're working in a pair, switch over now before the next step, and don't forget to save your work.